Suicide Squad already a problem. And we've got a PS Direct later this week. What's going on, everybody? I'm Josiah Leroy. Welcome to Busy Sticks, the Geekiverse's all video game talk show. We've got some stuff to get to today, but before that, let me introduce these handsome fellas. To my left on screen, I've got Mr. John Fick. John, you ready to talk some video games tonight?
I sure am.
That's a good thing. Rashaun, the Platinum King here. Is Suicide Squad a game you're going to be adding to that platinum list over there?
Well, considering I'll be playing it on Xbox, there will be no option for a platinum. But I'm curious if the game will even remotely get my attention enough post story to do any type of achievement hunting.
Will the game even come out?
Yeah, at this point, it's not even a guarantee. It's not even a guarantee it'll be playable in what, an hour and a half or whatever.
Ugh.
Interesting day. Can't wait to get into that discussion and what is going on with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. My goodness gracious. We think we're finally at launch week. We'll see what happens, folks. But we don't just love video games here at the Geekiverse. We also love a good beer, because what better companion is there than that to video games? So before we talk about what we're playing in our consoles, in our systems, let's talk about what's about to be in our systems. John, I'll go to you first.
So in my glass, which is my awesome Mario World Special Edition glass from the Answer Brewing, I've got another Dogfish Head. Repeat from last week. Like I told you, that beer vendor really did made an impression on me. She treated me well. She bought me a couple of beers at the bar. I'm like, I'm gonna keep buying Dogfish Head, and I don't regret it. It's delicious. This is the 60-minute IPA. I had the 90-minute, I believe, last week. Yeah, that's what I'm stocking the fridge with, and it's been good. I like it. Good stuff.
Mr. Rashaun, what do we got going on there?
Oh, I'm basic. Anyone that knows me knows that when it's a sports day like it was today, some basketball, I was watching some hoops earlier. Corona. I'm very, very simple boy over here. One of the things I do miss about Buffalo, it's just all the breweries, man, all the unique beers and breweries. Like me and John used to go out, every time I went out with this guy, and then you too, Joe, a few times we went out, it's always something new. There was always something new. And out here on the West Coast, I've just fallen into kind of old reliable. So we're just doing a Corona tonight.
And that's the point of the segment, where me and Joe try to never repeat the same beer on this show. We've both done it, I think, once or twice at this point. But Rashaun, the more you're on, I'll challenge you to find some good beer out there in California. See if you can find something to bring to the show. Not that there's anything wrong with Corona. I love a good Corona too. It's a great beer. But something to think about.
And to be fair, have I truly tried exploring the beer scene? No. So the challenge accepted. I'll have a different one next time.
Fun fact about the beer scene and where you're living in the Bay Area: the best wings I had when I was in California were at a brewery in San Francisco called 21st Amendment, which
I think I've heard of it.
Dude, that place was solid. Yeah. They were the best wings I had. I tried wings like 5 or 6 times. I was there for a month. I'm like, I'm gonna keep trying and see if I can find wings. Exceptionally bad wings all over the place, like Applebee's level of wings all over the place for sure. But there were like 2 or 3 that were like, yo, these are great, these are excellent. 21st Amendment stood out, and they had great beer too. So I would check them out if you're ever in the city anytime soon.
Okay.
And nothing wrong, Rashaun, with being simple there. Good stuff all around. For me, this is a new one that I gotta say, they nailed what I'm about to talk about. A brewery around here that came onto the scene a few years ago, really exploded onto the scene, and they were known and still are known for their smoothie style sours. But I would say the last year, maybe 2 years, Froth Brewing has really gotten good at the IPA game. What we've got here is Bubble Hockey. So that is a hazy IPA. Nothing too crazy. It's just a 6.8. But gotta say, they blend everything so well with this one. It hits just right. It's got a nice amount of flavor, feels full. Kudos to Froth for coming out with another good one here. So cheers, boys. Good having everyone on the show. Thanks to everyone that is tuning in on Twitch and YouTube. We've got some show and tell. John, what do we got going on for this week?
I got a quick one. So this is, I was going to say not really video game related. I guess it's video game related. So if you work in corporate America, you might be privy to all sorts of swag that gets thrown your way, whether it be like shirts or hats or backpacks or whatever it is. They always have a corporate or a vendor logo that you really don't care about, or you often might not care about. That's the case with me, at least. I get vendor swag all the time being in IT. I've had this very, very nice in-case backpack for years that I didn't even want to wear because I just didn't care about the logo. I'm like, I don't want that company's logo on the backpack that I'm wearing every day. I finally got to the point where I needed a new backpack, and I'm like, that literally has the tags on it. It's like an $80 in-case backpack. It's got everything I need. How can I fix this? So I fixed it. I got myself a patch, a little Last of Us patch. Let me get it centered here. And I put that right over that vendor's logo. It's a nice little iron-on patch. And I've got myself a free little Last of Us bag. And I've been really digging it. So that's my show and tell today.
Oh, I have that bag. Oh, that bag is clutch.
Yeah. You know where that came from.
Similar. When I got gifted that bag from a mutual friend of John and
so did I. That's where
and
that came from for me too.
Oh yeah, and I didn't use it for years, and I think it was when I moved to the West Coast back in 2021. And again, similar situation. I'm like, man, I just need a bag. I gotta start bringing stuff to work. Like, I gotta start doing X, Y, Z, and I just need stuff to put like just for errands or whatever. And I picked that bag up and I haven't looked back since.
Dude, it's clutch.
That's crazy.
The driving force was for me is that I needed a place for my AirPods Max. These things, I love these headphones. Great product. They're ridiculous that this is the only case they come with. Like, they're so prone to, like, you know, I don't want to throw them in my bag. And my last backpack didn't have like a big pouch that was just for something big. And this has a perfect pouch for my AirPods Max. So that was my driving force behind finding a new bag. And now I've got a Last of Us bag. I'm digging it.
It's a good way to customize that, no doubt, and getting use out of two things maybe you thought you wouldn't have prior.
For sure.
You know, very good, very good. We have a fantasy draft update. So we drafted last week on Busy Sticks. Quite the eventful night. We've already got a game out. John, do you just want to talk about that real quick, and then we've got one or two games releasing this week, we think.
Yeah, Joe, with a very, very good first overall pick. Joe picked Tekken 8 with his first pick there. I'm looking at the 90 that you got for a score, and was why I said 9. So Tekken 8 is sitting at a 90 Metacritic right now, which means Joe is off to a great start. He's got 20 points on the board, the only person with points on the board. Obviously panned out to be a very good first overall pick. How do you feel about that, Joe?
I needed it. I needed a strong start. I drafted 3rd overall, so I felt like that was an obvious pick, but happy to see that it scored so well. It was previewing really well with a lot of the major publishers. I got a quick shout out. Unfortunately, Derek just missed out on Like a Dragon.
Yeah.
And if we had drafted really the week prior, he
like
would have
8
had
hours
that game.
prior.
Yeah, honestly. And the score for that game would have been very similar to Tekken. So I'm sorry, Derek. It's not going to be pretty the rest of the year. However, Derek does have the counter pick for Suicide Squad.
That's a good one. We're going to get all into Suicide Squad. Obviously, that's kind of our main topic of the show of what's going on with that today. But it's probably going to prove to be a pretty good counter pick for Derek there. Before we get into what's coming out soon, we had some moves. We had some waiver wire free agency moves. Mr. Tim Talbot, the guy who waited until October to make any moves and even remind us that he was still playing last year, ended up winning the whole thing, for what it's worth. He already added 2 games in free agency. He added Little Nightmares 3 and Ayuden Chronicle 100 Heroes. Not a game that I'm familiar with. Rashaun, you familiar with it? It looks like a JRPG.
He's done. He added games way too early. He's done.
Those aren't the only 2 free agent moves. Yours truly also added a game. I added, that's Derek's team. Where's mine? I added The Rise of the Golden Idol. That is a sequel to a narrative game that came out 2 years ago. It was, I think, Rise of the Golden Sun or something like that. Reviewed off the charts. I think it was the debut indie game for that developer, and it was highly, highly praised. And they announced the sequel to that game at the PlayStation State of Play or PlayStation Showcase last year. And it looks like it's looking good for coming out this year. And it's a narrative game. They did great their first time around, so I picked that one up for $1. It's that's one of those low risk, high reward type things. If it gets pushed, I can always drop it if I have to, unless someone counterpicks it. The good thing about that though is I was thinking about that, like, man, what if that gets announced that game isn't coming out and someone counterpicks it? As long as I'm paying attention, drops always process before bids. So if there's news out there that like a game's not coming out, as long as you're on the money and you process your drops always get processed first. You can't get locked into a counter pick that way as long as you're paying attention that week. So game's coming out soon. I mean, maybe we've got one coming out. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is this Friday. Is that the technical date? When's the second? Is the second?
You want to do a pizza bet?
It's Friday.
So technically Friday, but they did one of those awesome, decisions where you can pay $100 to play 72 hours early. So that was supposed to be today. No one's playing the game. A lot of people have finished the game by clicking a button, but nobody's actually played it. And then also tomorrow, the first is Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, and that's going to be Tim's first game. And then how could I forget Persona 3 Reload? That is also That's Tim's first overall pick. One it's probably going to do pretty well if we know what we know about the Persona franchise and Persona 3. It's already a known quantity. So that one's going to be killer for him.
Speaking from experience, Tim might have hit a home run with Grand Blue. I think that's going to review very well.
I agree.
Let's hope it doesn't.
Let's hope it doesn't, for sure. Let's hope it's a good game, but it just somehow reviews bad.
I hope nobody loses their job and they can greenlight the sequel, but I hope it's not that good.
just okay, it's fine. There's a lot of high-end games coming out possibly this week, and then there's Suicide Squad. Again, we'll get to that.
Yeah, February's a busy month. I mean, that's just kind of this week. You've got Helldivers 2 coming out for Joe next week. The week after that, Joe's got Mario vs. Donkey Kong. Final Fantasy, was it VII Rebirth? What is that? I don't know what that one is. But that's coming out at the end of February there. So it's a stacked month in February. Fellas, we thought that last year being one of, if not the best year of all time with games, we thought this was like the come down, the letdown from that. There's still banger after banger. We're looking at this calendar I think we were wrong about this being such a lull.
Yeah, it's BS, It's kind of great though at the same time because these promotion cycles are way shorter than they used to be.
Yeah.
You announce a game 5 years in advance, and then everyone would complain about it on the internet for that whole time. But I think in some cases companies have wisened up to that, and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna announce the game, and then only when it's 6 months, from being ready to be released." So I feel like that's a part of it, and maybe that's a part of why we don't know a ton of what the second half of 2024 is going to look like. We got a good idea with Xbox, but maybe we're going to get a really good idea in 2 days with PlayStation too. So I don't know. We'll see what's going on.
Well,
but for my fantasy team, I still have one glaring hole, and that is I don't have a new franchise yet. So I'm going to have to work on that. I've got an idea of one, but I want to see how it shows Wednesday. We'll see. There
you go. That's always good. I think that the new franchise is a fun one because you can go the indie route and be safe there. I mean, you can find just a fun indie game that is kind of like, the debut of that franchise. So there's a lot of options there. But you can always go for the big bangers too. Some of the stuff Xbox is doing, or maybe the stuff that PlayStation is doing. We'll see.
We will see. Maybe that'll be my Ara pick. All right, folks. What do we got going on in our systems? What are we playing while we're waiting for some of these releases? I'm gonna go to Rashaun first. What have you been playing this week?
I have two, but I'll be super quick. One just left my system, Prince of Persia Lost Crown. Incredible Metroidvania. I 91%ed the game. I'm almost I kind of want to just go back and do the 100, but I hit 91 and then I just went. I'm like, I gotta beat this game. So that incredible game. We talked about 2023, it was supposed to slow down. Early 2024. We hit the year running with this game. If you're into Metroidvania, even if you're not into Metroidvanias, just give it a shot. There's a free demo out there. Give it a try. Speaking of another game that actually sold me based on the demo, Prince of Persia I was getting regardless. That's a franchise I'm familiar with from my childhood. But a game that sold me on the recent release of its demo, and I'm glad game demos are making a comeback. We just talked about it. Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. This game, I had... Apparently it was announced back in 2016, 2017, and people have been waiting for that long. I've been waiting for it for the last week. So I'm kind of late on the hype with it. It first hit my radar, I want to say last summer. I'm like, because I had heard of it. I'm like, is that a mobile game or is there a fighting game for it? Now they're making it into an actual JRPG. Okay, cool. I'll keep my eye on it. And I kind of forgot about it. Then I saw the demo release recently. So I booted it up, and it's a nice little demo. It gives you a tutorial, gives you some not some of like the end game stuff, but like some of the questing that you get to do, some of the story content. And it's a really good jumping in point for someone like myself who's not very familiar with this franchise. Like they kind of designed it to be that. But it's super fun. Like there's like 19 characters at launch. I think there's gonna be 2 more added through DLCs. There's gonna be some I think the DLC is free too. But they're gonna do like some free updates with it, which is pretty cool. But it's a really, really cool action JRPG with a lot of focus on like the end game content, but it does have like a 20-hour length story. Really good so far. I am in the early stages of it. I did the little I have it on PlayStation, so I got it like a few days early. So I started playing it yesterday, played a little bit today. Highly recommend. So I think Tim, and I see some buzz about it online. So again, with that one, I think Tim might have like a 80 to 85 score on his hands, but that's what's in mine right now.
Not bad, not bad.
I think that's pretty fair to say. Love that you bring that perspective, and yeah, Prince of Persia, man, that's something I got to take the dive into.
Sure.
I've been committed to something else, but before that, John, what have you been playing here while we wait for some games here coming up in February?
I think something similar to what you've been committed to since we last spoke. I have finished Final Fantasy VII Remake. That was fun. I told you that I put that on easy and I was cruising through. Great decision. We talked a little bit in the pre-show here. It helped me enjoy the pacing of the game. The first time around, I played this game, and I just didn't enjoy the encounters. Like the big boss fights were fun; those were awesome. They were challenging. Like the little everyday encounters just got a little boring for me. Got a little long, and that's what really affected the pacing. Pop that bad boy on easy, man. I love that game. I had such a blast with it. I totally understand the hype. I understand like where first of all, the source material. I can see where everything's pulling from. I can see why this was such an iconic game for its time, considered one of the best games of all time. Obviously, in this remake, man. Oh my god, are you kidding me? With some of those set pieces, especially towards the end of the game, the last like 2.5 hours of that game are just like unreal. Yeah, it's been a blast. So I finished that up, wrapped it up, and I have committed to the backlog. I'm playing through stuff that I wanted to get through. It's one that was just last year, but it's something I wish I would have gotten to. I think I mentioned this last week as well. My plan was to play Sea of Stars. I am happy to say that I am about a third of the way through that. I've got about 10, 11 hours in Sea of Stars. What a game. Game is so freaking charming. The music is like the one thing. It's like I've probably inflated some of my numbers because like I'll just be chilling and I'll just pause the game and just let the music run and I'll just be messing around on my phone. And it's one of those times where like I'm not even mad about it. I don't even feel bad about not playing the game because I'm just like enjoying the ambience of the music. It's so freaking good. I think Tim talked about this during our Game of the Year conversation. It's turn-based, but there's actionable things in the turn-based combat. So like so you can pick between the guy or the girl, Valerie, or I forget the guy's name because I didn't pick him. I picked Valerie. But her like main turn-based attack is that she throws this boomerang, and when you throw it, you press X every time you catch it, and you just keep comboing it, and it speeds up, and it gets eventually impossible to keep the combo going. But it's another layer to this turn-based combat that keeps you engaged. It's not that I have a problem with turn-based combat. I really do enjoy turn-based RPGs. I don't play enough of them. I really need to start diving in because I love these games. But to have that like actionable combat during that is just really satisfying. Story's super cool. It's like one of my favorite, like I want to say small. It's not a small game. It's 30 hours, but it's one of my favorite like experiences that I didn't expect to get a story from. I expected this to be music, vibes, gameplay. The story's been blowing me away too. So I'm just excited to get more hands-on with it. Hopefully wrap it up within the next couple weeks or so because I want to play that intergrade, the Yuffie chapter before I hop into Rebirth in Final Fantasy VII. Rashaun, you talk about how you only had to wait like 8 days. Your hype has only been 8 days for Grand Blue. Isn't it nice to kind of hop into something where like everyone else has been waiting years for Rebirth, and like it's been painstaking. I've had a month to wait for Rebirth on my end here because I just got into Final Fantasy VII. It's nice. I like it.
With someone like me who's attracted to franchises that just, they announce it and it comes out, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 years later. Yes, it is nice being able to only wait 8 days for this game. It seems awesome. Okay, let's hop in. It
says the really Kingdom Hearts fan.
Yeah, Kingdom Hearts.
the Kingdom Hearts. It happened with Final Fantasy VII Remake too.
For sure.
That hit a
2015? Was it 2015 or 16 or E3?
when it got announced.
Yeah, it was. I think it was Sony 2015. Could have been 16.
No, when it got announced, I believe that was 2013, and then they had to restart development in 15 or 16.
No,
and then
it wasn't that early. It was 15. I think it was at Sony's E3 press conference.
Well, at some point, they had to restart development. That's all I remember.
For sure.
Yeah.
I'm in the same boat as John. I before I switch gears from Sea of Stars, just I'm happy John's playing that. That's a game I know he was excited about, and I think just life got in the way. We had a lot of big releases; it kind of fell down the chart. So I'm happy to hear that you are enjoying that. You circled back to it. For me, I'm in the same boat. Like, hey, Rebirth, that's a month away. How awesome! I care about that game. Like, I'm excited. I've owned Final Fantasy VII Remake for the better part of 2 or 3 years. It again, just circumstance. That was a backlog item that I was going to play on my PS4. Actually, right around the time they introduced Intergrade to the PS5 population, and I'm happy that I didn't give up on it, and I'm able to play it now. I am roughly halfway through. I believe I'm on chapter 10. I was telling Rashaun pre-show that I just had the Hell House boss battle, and
how wild is that?
Where that leads to with me is I love the over-the-top humor moments with this game.
Me too.
Some of it is just so silly, but it knows it and it leans into it. And it's almost like something silly happens and the camera pans and it's like, what? And I love that so much. It resonates with me. It's a beautiful game. We know that. It's the art style, everything that you've seen throughout the various chapters that I've been through leading up to chapter 10 has been awesome. But one thing that I'll say, I start to draw some comparisons to what I've liked and been through in Final Fantasy 16. I know they're different games, but there's some similarities for sure. And one of the things that I think I like more about 7 than I did about 16 is I'm connecting with these characters so much. I love this ensemble cast. They're just so charming. They're so much fun. Every character that I come across, I want to know more about them. I want to spend more time with them. And that often for me does not happen in these meaty RPGs. Not that this is a massive game, but
next one will be.
Yeah, eventually.
Rebirth will be the massive one.
That is going to be a big game. This is just a taste, I think. But I'm enjoying the heck out of this, man. I can't say enough about it. The hype has found its way to me for Rebirth, so that'll be a day one purchase a month from today, which is super, super exciting.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, what I remember every chapter, I'm kind of like giving the guys updates here in the chat. Right off the bat, I was like, oh my gosh, hang on, we got characters named Biggs and Wedge. Are you kidding me? I'm like, that's no coincidence, right? Rashaun, you said one of the creators of Final Fantasy was a Star Wars fan.
Yeah, he was. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, obviously that strikes a chord with me. I didn't know that when I started the game, but I just if you haven't taken the dive into Final Fantasy yet, go do this. Pick it up for PS5. I think that's the best way to play this game. And then I do want to do the intermission DLC when I'm done with it too, which is not something I typically like to dive into. DLC is few and far between for me, but that one just looks so charming. I think I got to do it. So I've been kind of, I'm not doing the best here, but I'm trying to do a chapter a day. So I want to beat a chapter a day. That'll keep me on pace here well before, obviously, Rebirth comes out. But yeah, so far so good. So
I'll jump in real quick just to make a correction. Yeah, John, you're right. June 15th, 2015. I'm so traumatized by my favorite franchises just, having these issues. That it was Kingdom Hearts 3. That was 2013.
Right.
I'm getting them confused. I'm so traumatized.
Makes sense. Easy to do, those two franchises. Both with style and how many times they're delayed.
So here's not going to open a can of worms here. A silly thing though. With what I've seen with 16 and then also with what I've loved of Final Fantasy 7, made me appreciate Kingdom Hearts 3 just a little bit more. I'm just saying they're not totally related, but what I've started to see and some of how my tastes have changed
Dude,
just getting a little bit of that.
I'm worried about this because I've gotten bitten by the Final Fantasy bug. I crushed through 16 earlier this year, had a blast with 7. I've been watching like some lore videos. I watched a whole like 40-minute breakdown about what was different from remake Final Fantasy 7 remake versus the original. There was a blast to see all that, to see the original source material. You say you appreciate Kingdom Hearts a little more. For some reason, I can't stop thinking about Kingdom Hearts after all this Final Fantasy has been creeping into my life here. All I've been listening to is Kingdom Hearts music. That's literally all I've been listening to over these last like week and a half, 2 weeks here. I think I've decided that Kingdom Hearts 3 is my favorite soundtrack, my favorite main title song between the three.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's Face My Fears is Kingdom Hearts 3. Simple and Clean is 1. Sanctuary is 2. I think I always used to think I liked Sanctuary the best, but Face My Fears is so good. That song's been on repeat a lot, and that whole Kingdom Hearts 3 soundtrack's been on repeat. So yeah, the Kingdom Hearts intrigue has been creeping into my life more so than it has in the past. And I've always, like I always say, I'm such a far off admirer of this franchise because I never had a PlayStation 2 growing up. I was an Xbox kid, never owned a PS2. The first console that I had that could play, the first game that I could play that for a console I owned was Kingdom Hearts 3, and I played it. So I want to, maybe it'll happen.
Yeah.
Rashaun's got the headphones off.
I just have one question. Question here. John, who are we?
I'm wondering the same thing.
I'm the man I've always wanted to be. Like I said, I've always had intrigue of Kingdom Hearts. Like when it comes to video game music, Kingdom Hearts has always been top of my list. I shit you not. I have watched Kingdom Hearts lore videos for hours on end. I've tried to understand what the hell's going on with Kingdom Hearts. I've literally watched playthroughs of the first 2 games. I've watched hour-long breakdowns of someone trying to explain to me what the hell Kingdom Hearts even is. It's a place apparently. That's where they draw their power from. I still don't get it. I don't think anybody gets it, but that's fine. I think I want to play. We'll see. There's just so many games.
I got Kingdom Hearts 3 because I was like, I like all the Disney worlds I'm about to go through.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Like, I texted you guys earlier. I've been listening to the Final Fantasy 7 soundtrack on repeat, and here's the crazy thing. I don't just admire the music. I hear a track, and I know what I was doing in the game.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Oh, what? Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I've been... Listen,
I never remember stuff like that unless it's Star Wars. You could play like 3 sections of one of John Williams' tracks from any Star Wars movie, and I'll be like, here's the movie, here's the minute, this is exactly what's happening. Anything else? Nope. But that, I'll tell you what, that's special stuff right there.
It sure is.
Yeah. Having a good time, man. Tim is proud. I know Tim's super proud. Rashaun, I know you are too.
The only thing I'm gonna say is, audience, y'all have the video evidence of me back in 2020 trying to tell these guys. Now look where we are. I'm proud. I'm very happy. I'm gonna just leave it at that. We gonna see
time and place for everything.
We're gonna see where this goes. That's right.
We'll see.
Maybe I'll boot up Alan Wake 2 soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
That's more egregious. Don't you dare. Speaking of, thank you, Rashaun. Alan Wake 2, because everyone wants to hear me talk more about this game.
You played it?
Played what?
Alan Wake 2?
Yeah, JT, by the way.
Oh, yes,
kudos.
Yes. Yeah.
So, JT in the Geekiverse does not like horror games. Doesn't like them, won't play them. Well, guess what? He changed his mind. I wouldn't shut up about the damn game. He bought it. He played it. He finished it. He said it's his 3rd favorite video game of all time. He showed us the list.
He did.
It's a good list.
Yeah. He wrote it with his hand instead of using the app. An hour later, I think someone posted a screenshot from GG. He's like, wait, what is this? I'm like, not pen and paper, I'll tell you that.
It was what the F is GG.
I respect it, though. I respect it, the whole pen and paper.
I love it, dude. JT, I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy that you not only endured this, you got through all the Cynthia jump scares and the terrifying moments throughout the game, but that you also loved it. I love that was a byproduct of you actually playing this game. Rashaun, I don't know what you're doing, man. You got to play this game. You're gonna love it.
And I'm a horror fan to the core. Don't ask me why. It's there's too many games. We already know why. Too many games, man.
I know. That's where I am. That's where I'm at with it.
I need you to jump into that.
I'm gonna get on it. I promise. I'm gonna get on it.
We're gonna get there. Last Alan Wake thought of the episode. We should just carve out a segment because I could talk about it every week. I couldn't shut up about Old Gods of Asgard, Herald of Darkness. And so Lauren I showed her the music video for it, and then I showed her what they did at the Game Awards in relation. And she's like, okay, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen.
So
So
sick.
a few days goes by, and she goes, can you explain the story again to me? So I started, and then she's like, hang on, let's go watch a video on it. So Lauren, who is not typically into video games, unless it's Animal Crossing, she was all about diving into the lore of what happened in the franchise so far, including how it relates to Control. I'm just saying, this game, it transcends everything. Go play it if you have not played Alan Wake 2. All right, on a lesser note, let's get to the news here. So we're going to talk about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League for a little bit here. We'll start here. So it's 10:51 p.m. Eastern time. We're recording this. This article is from 8:54 this morning. So we're talking about close to 14 hours. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League pulled 1 hour after the deluxe edition launch due to bug. So from IGN, Rocksteady Studios has been forced to pull Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League offline just 1 hour into its deluxe edition's early access launch due to a bug that automatically completed players' games. Have you ever heard of anything?
Completes the game. Did you watch the video of the first person that it happened to?
No.
It's the most bizarre thing. He's getting his audience hyped up. He's ready to play this game. He's like, all right, let's do this. He boots up, and he's just like, you know how Marvel's Avengers, there's just like this room that you go to get all your missions, like on the ship. That's kind of like where you are. That's where he is, and he's got like all this badass gear. There's all these characters. There's all these NPCs with like question marks over his head. He presses the start menu. He sees all this like gold legendary tier loot applied to his character. He's like, this can't be the start of the game. It was. I've never seen anything like it.
It's completely bizarre. Just the next section from the IGN article. Though the Batman Arkham Universe live service game doesn't launch proper until February 2nd, those who paid an extra $30 for the deluxe edition were granted 3 days of early access.
They paid for this.
They paid for this. This means it should now be available in New Zealand, as reported by VGC. The game is currently offline and will be for, quote unquote, several hours. Well, here we are. It is still not back up, to my knowledge, in New Zealand. US, that's hitting for us tomorrow. But guys, what the hell? Like, all you had to do to kind of survive this launch was just have a mediocre week and pray for the best.
Just stay under the radar. Just stay out of the headlines is all you had to do. And I
don't recall anything like this at all.
Nothing ever like this. Like, yeah, broken servers, you can't connect to games, stuff like that. A bug like this on a major AAA we're talking about Rocksteady, we're talking about WB Games backing. Like, it doesn't get much more AAA. You can, talk quality aside. I'm talking budget, right? Doesn't get more AAA than that. To have a bug like this on day one, on day zero, oh my God, dude.
So some fun tidbits let's get out of the way before we get into the meat of this. This is unrelated to what we're talking about, but before I forget, I saw an article that said, you know how in an open world game, the game will kind of keep you in line with boundaries. You'll go too far, it'll give you like a 10-second countdown to fly the other way, and so on and so forth. In this game, I guess if you do that, they give you a countdown, but if you don't come back, your head explodes, which that's kind of funny. That's Suicide Squad. That makes sense.
That's cool.
All right. Yeah. Whatever. Past that, in the UK, as per IGN in the UK, this game was discounted today, the equivalent of $27 US. So a $70 game comes down to $43 that you could buy technically before it's out even. Oh my gosh. This one's going to be a tanker.
So not to defend the game that's not even out and is already broken, I have seen people fact checking that. Apparently that was an eBay listing that IGN's reporting on. Like, it wasn't an official retailer. Like, apparently that was an eBay listing that they were selling multiple copies of the game, and it was like,
but with discount codes?
No, it was just discounted. It was just a discounted version of the game.
Interesting.
Yeah.
For what it's worth, the IGN article I saw said that there were discount codes that went along with it, which led me to believe it was a retailer. But
yeah, so I saw a lot of backlash on that. So take that with a grain of salt, because I saw some conflicting reports on that, and we're gonna get into more about why IGN and Suicide Squad have an interesting relationship.
Yeah, so it kind of IGN typically, they're one of the biggest, I would say, video game public media coverage websites in the world. They typically will say, "Hey, where's our review of this game?" when it doesn't launch a few days before the launch of a game. That's fair to say. They kind of set some expectations there. They kind of released a backhanded article that was a little bit salty, saying they weren't getting a code for the game. Now, that's not uncommon in live service games to get one ahead of launch, because
an early code,
turn the
right.
servers on. To not get a code is a little puzzling for such a big entity, but I wouldn't be surprised if this had to do with their pre-launch coverage. They did post a video roughly 2 weeks ago from their hands-on. I think it was with an alpha where Rocksteady flew in people to LA to play this, and they basically, the title of the video, I'll have to pull it up, but I'm paraphrasing. It said, "We finally played Suicide Squad," and then parentheses it said, "and we didn't like it."
If that's the case, if that's why they don't get a review code, that looks even worse for Rocksteady and for WB. Like if you invited somebody that you expect to be an objective media, personnel out to your game, and they don't like it and they write a bad review about it, and you retaliate by not letting them review the actual game, like you retaliate by not letting their readership and their listenership get a chance to make a decision as to whether or not they want to buy that game. That looks even worse to me. Like that's petty. That's super unprofessional. That's sketchy. Like that's just bad business.
I didn't love their article either. I don't think it was inappropriate, but I felt like you could feel the saltiness through that. So I think both sides, again, we don't know why they didn't get a code, but it's not that they're not doing review codes. It's that they're not giving IGN one, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
But,
interesting.
I mean, my gosh, guys, this game has had a rocky PR battle from the get-go, even to the announcement, because people, whether unfair or not, think of Rocksteady and you have the Arkham trilogy, and I think you're thinking about a more contained single-player relative open-world experience. But when we got that we were going to be getting a live service shooter set in the DC world, set in the Arkhamverse, by the way, it was really hard to come back from, and every stop. So this game was scheduled to come out in 2022. That's when they announced that it would be coming out. Gets delayed to just constantly delayed. Here we are, 2024, even the launch week, and we're having issues already. So a lot of it has just gone poorly. And even in the last month, with tidbits that have come out and how they're going to do their Elseworlds content, which is basically that they're bringing in, you think of different universes within DC, the multiverse. That's essentially what they're doing. They're bringing in characters like the Joker, who is not alive in this universe, according to the Arkhamverse. Like, there's so much going on. This game was never set up to succeed from a PR standpoint, and here we are. And today this happens. Like, guys, what are we doing here? What does this game have a chance? Like, we'll see what the quality looks like. Everything I've heard said it's very much like Avengers, a fine single player content, but when it's done and when you have the extra stuff to do and the live servicey stuff to keep it going, that's where it really falters. Like, hit me with your thoughts. I've got a lot.
I'm not going to say there's no coming back from this, because we've seen the biggest comebacks in video games. We've seen No Man's Sky go from a broken game that overpromised, underdelivered. We've seen that game be a success story. We've seen Cyberpunk 2077, a game that was one of the most anticipated games of all time, just betray users' trust, and then all of a sudden they've earned their goodwill back, right? So I'm not going to say it's impossible, but everything that they have done so far has not given me faith that this game is going to be good, and it just left me scratching my head. Like, are you kidding me? Just You have all the doubts in the world. This is already an uphill battle. You are pushing this boulder up the hill, and you're putting your name in the media for the silly reasons like not giving IGN a review code. Like you have a bug like this pre-launch for a pre-launch that you made users pay for to get the game early, which is not unprecedented. It just makes it look worse. It's not looking good.
It just sucks too. This is Rocksteady, who has such a pedigree with those 3 games from Arkham Asylum, City and Night, and to get to this, I hope, and it reeks of WB being the publisher here. I hope that is what's going on, and I hope that it also doesn't destroy Rocksteady. We're going to talk about layoffs in a moment here in the industry this year. It's not looking good. This just feels like this is the next wave. Rashaun, I know you and I have really, really held those Arkham games in high esteem. They're high on our all-time list, I think, collectively. What you and I both, funny enough, are not giving up on buying this game. We're both paying for this game to play it, hopefully Friday. But like, talk about it. Talk me through your feelings on it. What's going on here?
I'm gonna make a correction of what you just said. We're both buying the game. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think you are buying it with the prayer to the man above that this game. I don't think you're praying that it's going to be good. I think you're praying that it can just be something relevant in a positive way. Audience, don't get it twisted. I am a huge fan of the Arkhamverse, Batman, like everything. Like me and Joe, he definitely talks about it and is more upfront than I am. But the Arkhamverse, and specifically Arkham City, one of my favorite games ever. But all 3 of them rank up there for me. I am buying this game for pure comedy, content creation, entertainment. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to try not to go too long here. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the biggest red flag. I'm not even going to speak in hyperbole. I think I'm speaking in fact here.
I think it's Rick Flag. Sorry.
Him too. I'll put him in there too. This game has every red flag in gaming history, from the first screenshot of the live service to where they can't even deliver.
From the announcement of the property, nobody wanted Rocksteady's next video game to be a Suicide Squad game. From the announcement of what they were working on, that was already going against them.
So let me go back in time a bit, because I have some numbers here. Because my pops texted me the other day. My mom and dad, they often text me about video games. I do have the coolest parents in the world, that they both are hardcore gamers, and we talk about this stuff like it's like we're talking about how it was work. My dad texted me the other day, and he was like, listen, I'm going to buy Justice League. I'm sorry, not Justice League. I wish it was Justice League game. Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League. For him, he has played some live service e-games to where I question if he's actually my dad or not. I'm kidding. If you ever see this, Dad, I love you. I'm sorry. But he texted me that it looks like there's some semblance of fun. I texted him my thoughts that I'll share here. But his main point was, who asked for a Suicide Squad game, to where I never thought about that. I was focusing on all the other red flags. So I'm like, yeah, who actually asked for this? Let's go back. Let's time travel. 2016, Suicide Squad, the very first one, with Will Smith, Jared Leto's horrendous Joker, made $747 million at the box office. Pretty successful. It actually was a box office success. However, Metacritic, 40%, Rotten Tomatoes, 26%. Fast forward, James Gunn, 2021, the newest Suicide Squad movie. Actually, on the flip side, 90% Rotten Tomatoes, Metacritic 72. Obviously, Kill the Justice League was already announced at this point. Tanked at the box office, $168 million. You can attribute some COVID for that. But but my point is, no one cares. Whether you're talking about the movies, no one cares. The cartoon, they had that one Arkham movie where they kind of focus on the suicide. That is the only thing Suicide Squad in the last decade that even remotely resonates with any type of audience. Who asked for this? Then I fast forward to last year, David Zaslav. If you don't know who David Zaslav is, he is the CEO, the head of WB and Discovery. He's been doing incredible things with their movie division. He's cutting out a lot of fat that doesn't need to be there. He's the one who put James Gunn in place to run the new DC. He's doing great things in the TV and movie verse. In the gaming division, he's going to run it to the ground. He said last year that WB Games is focused on live service as a platform for their video games moving forward. And they're even referencing Game of Thrones. They're referencing all their properties will have some sort of live service element to this. The point that I'm trying to get to with this game is that there is no redeeming quality about this game. As someone who loves just Batman and his rogues gallery, who loves the Arkhamverse, the only thing you can even say, and this has nothing to do, I don't think it'll end up having anything to do with the gameplay. Maybe it will, is Rocksteady. That is the only thing that the gaming community that I can really tell is trying to hold the saving grace for. I have bad news, ladies and gentlemen. This is out of Rocksteady's hands. I think what we can maybe expect is decent gameplay. And even that we all agree looks completely suspect. And I've said this on this show before since I've been back. This has WB written all over it. And it's clear. The facts are there. The evidence is there. There's honestly no redeeming quality for this for me. What I am hoping for at this point is just good content for us to review on this channel. And to have some memes come from this game. The story is already leaked. It looks horrible. Gameplay looks boring and repetitive. Why am I King Shark and I'm shooting an AK?
Brutal.
How does nothing from the start of the game to the end of the game makes any sense? And the worst part about it is, and the last thing I'll say before I hand it back off, is that I pray to the Lord, but I don't think this will happen. I think they will get the blame. Rocksteady's going to get the blame for this, but I hope with content creators like us and people out there that are in the know, this is all WB. Rocksteady I could tell, did not want to make this game in the state that it's in. But they had no choice. At the end of the day, WB is the publisher. They have the say so. But it just has so many red flags. The only analogy I can come up with is, listen, fellas out there or anyone in the dating space out there, listen, the person told you they're a bad communicator. They told you they cheated on your ex to probably potentially be with you. They have every red flag that you can name. And you know what? If you still decide to date them, that's your fault. They had all the red flags. This game has had every potential red flag that you could have for in the gaming industry. And I think we're all just waiting to see how this ends at this point. But the game can't even release on time when it's supposed to be out already. I'm done. Go ahead.
Rashaun, I think I'm with you on all of that. The reason I'm buying this game is because, who am I, right? I'm $170 purchase. That's probably not going to make a difference. But I love Rocksteady so damn much. I need something here. I need to say I supported them somehow, even though I'm playing this game. I'm staying away from story spoilers. I know it's probably not going to go in a great direction. What I'm looking at, I'm trying to look at some of the positives. So Kevin Conroy, it's his last performance as Batman before he passed away. There's some tropes in there they've already talked about. Like, I'm like, oh, Riddler trophies, we're doing that again. That's fine in the Arkham games,
which makes no sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it doesn't make any sense. I'm like, that's fun, but don't try to get me. I already did this 3 times, 4 if you include Arkham Origins. But it's just for years, weekly, I would yell on the Geekiverse video game podcast, whatever it was at the time, whatever we called it. And I would say, Rocksteady, what is your game? What are you doing? And then we finally got the announcement, and I couldn't believe it. And I felt like even at that time that the game was too late. Like, games as a service, I'm not saying that can't be a thing. That is a very successful thing, but it's got to be the right thing for it to be successful. Like, this is going to fizzle quickly.
You've got to go all in on it. It's got to be a property that makes sense. It's got to make sense for games as a service. It's got to be like an online shooter that's low risk. You've got to, you can't take a property like Suicide Squad, which isn't even that
Or
acclaimed, whatever,
Avengers.
or Avengers, right? Either of those two, and you can't take developers like Square Enix or like Rocksteady and force them into that box, right? That's where this stuff fails. It's when you take these, oh, you're an incredible developer, you've got a great pedigree, you know what makes a lot of money? Live service. I'm gonna have you make our live service game. No, that's the exact opposite way to do it. Invest in the studio from the ground up to make a live service game. Awesome. That could be fine. I'm sure it will be. We're going to talk about PlayStation State of Play. The Concord game. That game looks pretty interesting. Everything I'm seeing about like what we're going to see from Concord on Wednesday looks super, super interesting. A team from the ground up making a live service game with an original idea. Not an acclaimed developer that makes narrative single-player games and a IP that doesn't make any sense to be live service, mash them together, let's look for the money. It's brutal, man. It's brutal.
That's the thing. So Rocksteady makes these incredible, 3 Batman games. And just because they made incredible DC games, now they have to do another DC property that has really gone, I would say, undergone a lot of PR damage in general. Rashaun, you called back to it. That first Suicide Squad movie made so much money. I remember in the lead up to it, calling that a surefire hit. I was like, I guarantee that movie, it's going to be good. There's no doubt about it. The trailers, everything had me going, and we got there and I was like, oh no. The week it came out, the reviews dropped and it's putting 4 out of 10, 5 out of 10 at best. Oh, how could they mess that up so bad?
DC
that was their answer to Guardians of the Galaxy.
Exactly.
My goodness.
What I was going to say, they've been trying to make the Suicide Squad their Guardians of the Galaxy for a decade at this point, and it's just not working.
It's not.
Even the James Gunn movie, which most people would say was pretty good, I thought it was okay.
Same here. I didn't like it.
Yeah, it was okay.
You release it in the middle of a pandemic. So what do you expect it to do? So this game feels like it's 5 years too late for me. Suicide Squad was already a damaged brand, a damaged IP. And then the live service element, we saw this fail with Avengers, canceled the damn project. Rocksteady was rumored to be working on so many different things. It was Justice League at one point. It was Wonder Woman at some point. I bet some of that is true. And then they pivoted and said, you got to do Suicide Squad. And it just sucks, man, because I think they're a top 10 developer in the gaming industry, and they're probably going to get torn apart as a result of this. So this is me voting with my wallet a little bit, saying I support you, Rocksteady, but kind of F you, WB at the same time. It's a bizarre contrast to go through.
It sucks. It's a shitty situation for those developers to have to deal with that, the backlash that they're inevitably going to receive for this game.
It does. And even like Rashaun, like every time I've watched so much on this game to try to get myself psyched for it. I'm an eternal optimist. There's always that small flame, right? No matter what. But like seeing Harley Quinn in this game, that's not the Harley Quinn from the Arkhamverse, even though it is. Like it's the same voice actress, Tara Strong, I believe. It's the Suicide Squad version of her. She just this crew doesn't look endearing. I don't think I'm gonna connect to them. Anything like none of it looks appealing here. And I don't know, man. I hope I find some semblance with this when it comes out.
I just want to say one last thing because I did post about this on my social media. That Joker. Listen, if y'all thought Jared Leto's Joker was bad, and we thought his Joker was bad from that first trailer that they showed him in when his laugh, the audience was done there. This one, they seem to one up. I'm not gonna say one up themselves because obviously that's a movie, it's a video game.
They one down themselves.
But yeah, they WB as a brand one up themselves or one down themselves, whatever you want to call it. They just show a picture of this brother and it's over.
Think about it, Rashaun. Again, the PR thing, nothing has gone right.
He's supposed to be dead.
The people I think that are playing this game largely played those Arkham games. So you see Joker and you know what happened and the incredible arc that was brought to life by Mark Hamill in those 3 games.
But who's this guy? This dude looks like a dork.
It looks like someone was trying to cosplay Jared Leto's Joker. It's a joke. Oh my gosh. Now I'm getting fired up. Look, Rashawn's got me too far the other way here. John, take us home.
I got nothing for you, fellas. I have no interest in this game. There's a chance that I might need something to shoot. I want to pick something up that's colorful and I can chip away some time and shoot some stuff. So maybe when this game's $30, there's a chance that I get it. If the story's somewhat decent and it's fixed by the time it's $30, like if all of that falls into play, there's a chance that I play this game, and I'm talking about it, a couple months from now. But at launch and in my interest level right now, I couldn't be less interested in this game. Morbidly curious, about the story. Obviously, the story of this game and this launch. Again, like heart goes out to Rocksteady because like they've been dealt a shit hand. Which again, this is all speculation. Maybe this was their baby, man. Maybe they pitched this game and this is what they wanted. I doubt that, but we're that's where we're at this point.
WB is so hell bent on making Suicide Squad a driving force for their brand, and it's clear. Is this the nail in the coffin? Probably not. They're going to come back with something next year, be like Suicide Squad, the animated series. Here we go.
Yeah, you got it.
I can see it now. Coming to Max.
Harley Quinn, the animated series, is real good.
Real quick,
it's different.
Oh,
like
for
Birds
sure,
of Prey
100%.
is an okay movie.
Real quick, I know we got to keep it moving here, but I just have a question for the group, and then we move on. What is in your two opinion? Try to be quick if possible. I know this is on the fly. What is the worst AAA game you've played in the last decade? I was gonna say 5 years, but that decade might be a little tough. You could do 5 years if you want.
I'm good at staying away from them. I'd have to really think about that. I really don't invest in games that I don't already know that I'm going to love, to be honest. I can't think of a game that I like. I would maybe throw Cyberpunk at that at launch. I'm just like, this game, I'm getting all the bugs. Like, this is as broken as everybody says. I'm going to put this thing down and hopefully get back to it 6 months later. Never got back to it. It's on my backlog. We'll talk about it later this year. Cyberpunk might be the one, but even that's kind of like a weird one-off. I'd have to think more.
Josiah.
That's a really, really hard question. I don't.
We've had some stinkers for sure.
I think I'm with John. I typically stay away from them. I would say, decade. Hang on. No, I really didn't like Resident Evil 6.
Okay.
That's more than a decade now, by the way. That's what, 12 years?
You got to reach a little bit. Yeah.
That was my start to the Resident Evil franchise. And I remember texting buddies and just being like, do I have to finish this? This is dreadful. And thank goodness we got the remakes, because I would have stayed away from that franchise if we didn't. And now I'm a fan. I played 2, 3, 4 remake. I played 7 and 8. Like I'm a fan. Let's go. I think that's it. Rashaun, do you remember a game? I don't know how AAA this is considered, called Recore.
Oh
yeah,
I
remember Recore.
Yeah,
I didn't love that game. Like that was AAA, whatever. But that was a game that it's rare that I don't finish one. That's my thing. I finish games when I start them. That one I got like 3/4 of the way through, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm done with it."
Wasn't that like the creator of Mega Man? Who was the creative director? It was a huge creative director behind Recore.
Yeah, it was.
I was excited, and I want to say that was like 2016 Xbox One, and I'm like, "Let's go! We got another big game." Quantum Break was right before that, and yeah, I didn't. Listen, that's probably my closest one.
My whole point with this question. I don't even, maybe back when I said this in the summer, it was a hot take. I don't even think this is a hot take anymore. This is going to be the worst AAA game of the last decade. It is the 2024. You will have to go back to pre-2024 or 2014 to find a game worse than Suicide Squad. I'm just telling you. Telling you what's going to happen.
You want to know what's crazy? I think the next one in the conversation is probably Avengers.
Well, so I wanted to bring that up.
Rashaun.
I wanted to say,
canceled, that's why.
So with Avengers, to kind of put a bow on this, people talk about these games in the same light to a degree. I maintain that the Avengers is a good game for the single player story and campaign. If you would have just taken your resources and put it there, even as it is now, I think it's a fine game. The service stuff is BS. Like, oh my gosh, some of the levels to grind with some of those characters to get to the max level were a joke. They didn't even release some of the planned DLC that they had scheduled for it.
All those characters.
Yes. I think they did a fine job creating that story. Like I love Miss Marvel as a result of that game and then the subsequent Disney Plus series. I think it was a perfect 7 out of 10. It's a fine game. Strip away all the other stuff. if I could get to that with this game, which I don't think we're gonna get to,
That would be a win at this point.
Exactly. I count that as a win. Get me to anywhere close to a 7 out of 10. I'm fine with that. But I don't think we're gonna get it. I always feel like Avengers got a bad rap. In some cases, rightfully so. In others, not so much. Because I think the people who usually will cast stones at that game didn't actually play the single player content. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, it's fair.
It's on the list, man. Oh my gosh, I'm so depressed now. Let's talk about some optimistic stuff, boys. Wednesday, we got a state of play coming up. We got 40 minutes, 15 plus games we're supposed to see, including Rise of the Ronin, which looks awesome. Tell me, what's our level of excitement? How we feel? We just got a killer Xbox conference last week, or Direct, I should say, which has me super stoked about this year for Team Green. But let's talk about Team Blue here. What are we doing?
Yo, the leaks and the rumors surrounding this state of play are actually pretty insane. There's sources out there. I haven't really fact checked them. I've seen a couple of tweets, so I'm not sure how deep these are and where they really come from. We may see Kojima with Death Stranding 2. We may see the announcement of a Death Stranding movie. We may see a new mainline Sonic game. That's a rumor. Ken Levine's game that was announced a couple of years ago, Judas, the first person shooter from his Firewatch Studios. That's supposed to get its first really big showing. If two of those four things happen, we're talking about a banger PlayStation State of Play. And also, so interesting the way Sony names these things. Like, State of Plays are usually 15, 20 minutes, and then they have their showcases, which are 40 minutes. And now we've got a State of Play that's 40 minutes here. Weird. I wish that these things would find some structure. Hopefully, Xbox is dealing with the developer direct, because it seems like they just change the names of these things and what they represent whenever they want. I'd like some expectations. But if a couple of those things come true, that's going to be a banger show. I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. Rashaun, how are we feeling?
I'm gonna start off negative, but I promise it's not. It's just tempering expectations. I don't get excited for these anymore. Only because there's just such a, I don't even know if the word is toxic, but there is in the gaming community. There's always something to complain about after all of these. Oh, this is the pacing. Oh, they showed 80 indie games and one good game. There's always, people are gonna find something to complain about. So for me, and not that that's affecting my judgment, but even for me, some of these, I'm just okay, there's a banger here, there's a down one here, or there's a banger here, there's three downers. I'm just tempering my expectations. However, with just laying that on the line, with that being said, it always is still exciting when one gets announced, because there's got to be something, and especially with the time frame, 40 minutes, there's gonna at least be one banger here. I mean, John just listed off a potential 4 to 5. I don't know if there's gonna be that many, but there's at least gonna be one for them to make this 40 minutes. There's got to be something at the end of this that's worth it. I think maybe some Silent Hill. I don't think so, and I'm not getting excited, but there is some Kingdom Hearts 4 rumblings, and I think it was one of the previous shows we did where I kind of pointed out Square Enix's marketing style with what they're doing now with mainline Final Fantasy game, X Kingdom Hearts game, X Final Fantasy VII remake project. Their whole company is revolving around 3 franchises at the moment, and 2 of the franchises are the same thing. But maybe there's some Kingdom Hearts 4, because the marketing cycle for Rebirth is essentially done. Maybe there's one more thing.
They're gonna have Rebirth will be there. Rebirth will have a trailer. It's gonna have a hype reel. Rebirth will be shown off on Wednesday, 100%.
They still haven't shown their final battle or final trailer. So I think that's there. Again, Kingdom Hearts fans, calm down. I don't think there's any Kingdom Hearts stuff. I think we hear Kingdom Hearts 4 in the summer or something. Yeah. But I would say the thing that I would be expecting, most anticipated, but probably because I also drafted this property, but the Silent Hill 2 remake. I think for me, I think that's what I'm gonna be hanging my hat on with this one.
So I was gonna ask about Silent Hill. Silent Hill 2, I think, very highly anticipated for a lot of us here at the Geekiverse. Do we see that game Wednesday? And is it a 24 release?
Yes and yes.
Yes and yes. Yeah.
At least slated. You slate that for the fall. Who knows what happens? But
I think they're gonna go October. Similar to Alan Wake, October 2024.
Yep.
Alan Wake, what a game. There's been enough, I think, smoke where they're be fire for Silent Hill 2
Yeah.
for this year. But what about, last question here, Metal Gear?
It's possible. Yeah, it's possible.
I'd give it like a 4. I'd give that a 40% or 40%.
I'm not convinced that game is coming out this year, despite drafting it.
I'm not either. Yeah, I'm not either. If I would have not seen this like comprehensive, like leaks like this don't really happen for these state of plays. I'm with you, Rashaun. My expectations are usually really, really tempered with these state of plays. Just because like, you know, you're usually going to get a couple of things. They usually kind of tell you what they're going to talk about for the most part, and like don't get your hopes up. But the leak I saw was like from somebody who's nailed this stuff before, and he's like this is the stuff that's going to be there. And so I didn't not seeing Metal Gear. Who knows if it might be a surprise? I don't know. But it's gonna be an interesting one.
Yeah,
I can't wait to talk about it. Let me tell you that it's so exciting getting these two pretty big conferences, or again, conference directs here from Xbox and PlayStation within a few weeks here. In
Sony always has a February one. I'm sorry, Nintendo always has a February one as well. So that's got to be around the corner. We got to be getting a direct. The Switch 2 rumors are ramping up. That has to be this year. Please let it be this year. Please let it be this year. It's on its last legs. I'm kidding, but I really do want that Switch 2. It's got to be coming out soon, or announced soon. Got to be coming out this year because it's time for that thing.
It is time. Last news item before we get to John. John has a trivia game ready for Rashaun and I, which we always like to end the show with. He'll go through some details there in a second. But unfortunately, some more layoffs in the gaming industry. We just want to kind of cover this quickly. So from Game Informer today, we learned that Embracer Group has canceled a new Deus Ex game that was in development at Eidos Montreal and laid off 97 employees. Deus Ex, one of those franchises that just survives. Every few years, it comes out with a banger. Yeah. In 2021, they came out with Guardians of the Galaxy, which was one of our favorite games of 2021 here at the Geekiverse. Just a great time. Talk about good superhero video games. Guardians of the Galaxy was a good footprint. Just focus on single player content. It's too late, but anyway. So from Game Informer's article, they talk about Eidos Montreal, which is unfortunate. By January 29th here, we've already gotten more than 5,500 layoffs in just these first 29 days across the industry. We're seeing some unfortunate effects of what the economic conditions look like right now. But just some from the article. Destroy All Humans remake developer Black Forest Games reportedly laid off 50 employees. Microsoft announced it was laying off 1,900 employees from its Xbox, Activision Blizzard, and ZeniMax teams last week. Outrider Studio, People Can Fly, laid off more than 30 employees. League of Legends company Riot Games laid off 530 employees. Twitch laid off 500. Unity laid off 1,800. Lords of the Fallen publisher CI Games was laying off 10% of its staff. Discord laid off 170. It just goes on and on. Last year was roughly 10,000 in total that was reported. So unfortunate times. Our heart definitely collectively goes out to anyone who's been in this situation. It's clearly a cutthroat industry, but it never makes it easier from the human side of things. So we, always thinking about anyone, men and women, who are affected in what is one of our favorite famous industries, which is video games here. And it's just super unfortunate to see all these numbers, especially so early on in the year. And hopefully the tide turns quickly for everyone involved. So we just wanted to throw that note out there pretty quickly.
I want to jump in there because I've not to fully dox myself, but we all know I'm in California. And so I've been close to Hollywood. I've been close to Silicon Valley. So I've seen, especially in Silicon Valley with these tech layoffs. I mean, my God. And some of this probably overlaps to that, but as much as I can get riled up about some of these disaster games like, Suicide Squad and Cyberpunk at launch and No Man's Sky at launch. Even though we try to be entertaining because we're in that space. But at the end of the day, I don't want to see these games do bad because just like we talked about with Suicide Squad, right? I'm not predicting. I honestly feel like I'm telling all of you this game is going to be horrible. It is going to be all-time levels of bad. The only thing that's going to soften that blow is the fact that I think we all anticipate it. Where like No Man's Sky and some of those games, we don't anticipate it. But the unfortunate thing about all of that is that, guess what? When this game tanks Suicide Squad, guess what? Rocksteady might have to lay off a couple people. Probably more than a couple. WB might have to let some people go. So the game industry is in this space of, and again, I can understand the business model of David's Zaslav. I could just tell he doesn't know enough about the industry to really execute. But these games, we're at a point now, these games are so expensive to make. And the margin for error financially is so small that one bad game for your studio could result in exactly all the things you just laid out, Joe. It could result in dozens, hundreds of layoffs. It could result in cataclysm for some of these studios. And I think that's the thing that we forget about. You know, we try to make it entertaining, and we try to bring a product to life just from us talking about it. But at the end of the day, every single project from these studios at this point can be make or break. So it's just unfortunate to see that so many people are losing their livelihoods in a time like this. I know even some of these studios, they might not even put out a bad game. It's just the nature of the economic situation we're in the U.S. So it's just unfortunate.
Look what just happened with Activision. They just got purchased by Microsoft, and of course, when that happens, Microsoft looks at the books, they reevaluate jobs. They say, oh, well, you know what, we've got 1,200 people that are doing those jobs. What do we need these people for? And of course, they're going to shave off as much as they can. So that's the sad truth when it comes to consolidation. People love to cheer and so Call of Duty is coming to Game Pass. It's great, but this is the reality of what consolidation on that level can really show us. I've said it before on the show, I'll say it again, like video games, fickle industry, it takes dozens and hundreds and sometimes thousands of employees and laborers to make these games. There needs to be reform. There needs to be unionization in places where it makes sense. And when it comes to development, when it comes to contractors, like there needs to be regulation that protects these people, because like it's not new. It's not a news story. It's just it's an every month thing. It's an every year thing. And like it's brutal right now because we're 29 days into the year, and we've talked about the story 3-4 times now in different group chats and on Twitter and stuff like that. It just keeps happening, but it's not going to get better until there's some real change out there. And I don't know how that happens. I think it starts at the with the workforce, but man, that's easier said than done. People have to feed their families. People have to protect themselves. So it's a tough situation. It's the opposite end of the coin here when it comes to how much we enjoy these games and how much fun we have with them. We don't talk about the 6 to 7 years that goes into developing them and how difficult that is, and how there's no guarantee these people are going to have a job at the end of that cycle. Brutal. It's
an interesting spot for us to be into. Like, these games develop, Rashaun and John, you're so right. They're so expensive. They take so long. It's millions of dollars, and then it's 6-7 years in some cases, if not longer. And that game drops and we play it for a few hours and we give it a bad review. Like, it's such a delicate thing to do on a small scale. What we do, we're not IGN, kind of funny, any of those big names out there, but like, that's, I don't know, man. There's like a weird obligation and a weird balance with that. So it's delicate. It's tough. It sucks for everyone involved. I think there should be some change with it. I don't know what the answer is to that, but I hope it does soon. First and foremost for the people involved and their families, their livelihood. And then way past that, secondary is so we can all, as a gaming community, continue to enjoy the wonderful content that is out there. So there's something for everyone in gaming. We know that, and hopefully it gets better. But we'll wrap up the news cycle here. Lots of heavy stuff today. Not so much fun to talk about like normal, but we got to cover it anyway. We'll flip the script here. John, what do you got for trivia before we wrap up this episode of Busy Sticks?
I'm going to lighten the mood a little bit, fellas. So my goal with Busy Sticks is to come with a different small little trivia game every week. Sometimes that's going to involve one person. Sometimes it's all of us. I think I'm just going to call it mini games. I think it makes sense. I was searching for a title. We're just going to call it mini games. So we're playing a mini game this week. We drafted our fantasy critic games a couple of weeks ago, didn't we? Right, fellas. you two are going to head in another draft. What we're doing tonight is a Metacritic draft. So you fellas, Rashaun, Josiah, you're going head to head. You're each going to pick 3 games that launched or are playable on the PlayStation 4, and whoever has the highest overall score at the end, based on Metacritic for those games, is the winner. So you may ask, how do we decide who goes first? I've got a quick little game for that. The question for you to decide who goes first, fellas, what is the highest Metacritic score for an Xbox One exclusive game? You don't need to know the game. You don't have to worry about the game. What is the highest Metacritic score that an Xbox One exclusive game achieved? Josiah, I'll start with you, our host.
Wow.
Closest goes first in the draft, obviously.
For an Xbox One game.
Xbox One exclusive title.
Oh, okay.
And of course that involves PC. They were doing that stuff back then. Console exclusive.
Okay. Man, gotta be a Forza game, I'm thinking. I'm gonna go.
Good guess.
This is I could be a little high here. I'm not sure, but I'm gonna go with my gut. I'm gonna go with 97.
All right, Josiah locks in 97. Rashaun, what's your answer? The highest Metacritic score an Xbox One exclusive achieved.
Yeah, since you went that high, that makes mine easier. I'll go 85.
85 to 97.
I think Josiah might get it.
I got to do some math here because I think it's really close to the middle. Josiah, you nailed it with the franchise. It's Forza Horizon 3. It's it's a 91. So you're 6 away. You're both 6 away. Wow.
Are you kidding me?
Fellas,
Mark Paper Scissors on stream.
I thought there was a chance. I've got the backup ready. I've got the number 2 game. I've got the number 2 game.
Nice job.
This guy John, yeah.
I thought I didn't think it would happen. I'm like, well, I have to have something prepared in case it does happen. Wow. Fellas, what's the number 2 score in Xbox One exclusive has achieved? Rashaun, we'll start with you.
Okay, if the first was a 91, I'm sticking 85.
All right, 85 for Rashaun. Josiah, where you at?
We'll go 89.
That's a good strategy. You pinholed him there. There's not much. You didn't give him much wiggle room. That's going to be our closest, Josiah. The answer is 90 with Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
Oh, a game I played.
Yeah, so that's a 90 there. So damn. We'll circle back. Josiah, what you just won is the first overall draft pick of 3. This is not a snake draft like our fantasy draft.
That's all right. I don't need the first pick. Go ahead.
It's every other. And let's clarify. This draft is not PlayStation exclusives. This is PlayStation 4 games.
Okay.
Josiah, with your first overall pick, what do you select?
I will go. I gotta just decide which one I think is higher. Hang on.
Again, audience, we're talking.
I'm not looking nothing up. I'm not typing. I'm not doing nothing.
There's no way to fact check. This is just the integrity of the game, fellas.
But PS5 game could also appear on PS4.
It could, yeah. There's nothing to get. This is according to Metacritic. If there's a Metacritic score, it's eligible.
Let's go. God of War 2018.
Oh, good.
I'm not going to tell you guys anything until the end here. So Josiah, with his first overall pick, picks God of War 2018. Rashaun, with your first overall pick, what are you thinking?
Persona 5 Royal. Let's go.
Persona 5 Royal. Interesting pick.
Damn it.
All right, Josiah, with your second pick, what are you looking at?
We're going to go Last of Us Part 2.
The Last of Us 2. All right. Rashaun, with your second?
Final Fantasy 7 Remake.
Final Fantasy 7 Remake.
Right.
The last one's hard.
Last one's hard.
All right, Joe, third pick.
Oh, I know.
For sake of time, I probably should take a deeper dive here, but
you're fine. I mean, time is on you guys. We got all night. I got all night. Rashaun's living in the past here. It's
not. It's 840. Yeah. I'm good.
He's good.
Battle of attrition. I'll win.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I know my last one.
PS4. I'm gonna go Witcher 3.
Ooh, good one.
Witcher 3.
Good one. Yeah. Good one. Okay.
All right, Rashaun, what do you got?
That's a good one. I think I got him with this one. If we're just going 1-on-1, I'm going Bloodborne.
Bloodborne. I've never even heard of it. Bloodborne is the final pick of this draft.
The only thing with that pick before you total it is I don't remember I remember loving it. Obviously, it's Bloodborne, but I don't remember the conversation at time of release. I know the game has gotten rose-colored goggles from people, rightfully so, with time, but I don't remember Metacritic and any of that at launch. So that one will be the most interesting out of mine.
Can we guess the numbers before you reveal them?
Absolutely. John? I'm totaling up now. So Joey, you want to take a shot at year 3? What do you think you got?
All right. So God of War, I want to say, man, I feel like there was 10s across the board. I don't know if I'm going too high with this, but I'm gonna go 94
for God of War.
For God of War.
God of War 2018, Josiah with a bullet 94.
All right.
The next pick was Persona 5 Royal. Rashaun, what do you think you did with that?
I'm gonna say 95.
Fellas, get off your computers. Get off Metacritic, you bunch of cheaters. That's a 95.
Wait, I was right? Buddy. I was right?
You guys are both right, yeah.
Dude, what? Going with our guts.
Wait, he was right with the 94?
Yep, and you were right with 95.
I swear we're not looking.
I know, I trust you guys. I'm just joking.
Yeah, seriously.
Josiah, The Last of Us Part 2, what do you think?
Last of Us Part 2. I'm going to say...
Some controversy in there?
Yeah.
But was that amongst fans or game journalists?
That's the big question, yeah.
So, I'm going to say 91.
91's the guess. 93 is what it brought home. 93 for The Last of Us Part 2. 7 points shy of the correct score. Rashaun, what do you think for Final Fantasy VII Remake?
That one I'm leaning 90.
90?
Yeah.
We're looking at
one person.
Looking at an 87 for Final Fantasy VII Remake. 87.
Okay.
And then, Joe, you've got The Witcher 3. Where do you think that's at?
For Witcher 3, I'm going to say 93.
You're real close there. Witcher 3 pulled in a 92.
All right. Look at that. Let's go.
Rashaun, your last game, Bloodborne, where do you think that's at?
Oh, this is hit or miss for me.
Yeah, this one. I don't think there was ever negative words said about this game. I'm going 93.
You're close there. Bloodborne did a big boy score. It was a 92. Very, very well acclaimed.
I think Joe wins.
We tally these bad boys up. We've got Rashaun sitting at 274, and we've got Mr. Josiah Leroy at 280, baby.
Oh, Remake got me.
Remake gotcha.
My game.
Congratulations, Josiah, on our inaugural Metacritic draft here.
John, that was so much fun. That was a good game. Rashaun, well played. You and I knew our shit, man. Oh my gosh. Almost to the exact point for each of those.
Yeah, you guys crushed it. You guys did really good.
I was in I pigeonholed myself into exclusives, and then I was like, oh, hang on.
You guys missed
Witcher.
You guys missed some bangers. Rashaun had the highest rating game with Persona 5 Royal at the 95, but you guys missed Red Dead Redemption 2 at a 97. Grand Theft Auto 5 also at a 97.
I forget about that because I was thinking previous gen.
Right.
You know?
The Last of Us Remastered, the original Last of Us was a 95. That was ahead. You could have double dipped on Persona. I would have given it to you. Persona 5 Royal had the 95. Persona 5 had the 93. Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, 93. Uncharted 4, 93. Journey, 92.
Uncharted?
Yep.
4 did that high?
Oh, yeah, it deserves it. Uncharted 4, Undertale, 92. Divinity Original Sin 2, 92.
Did you say Journey?
Yep, Journey was a 92. That's the number 10 number 10 ranked PlayStation 4 game. But what a list. I was compiling this earlier and I'm like, man, what a great generation of games that was. You could scroll to the third page and we're talking about games that were in the conversation for Game of the Year. But what a fun generation. Yeah, good. It was a good little mini game.
Nice job, John. Nice with the branding too.
Got it.
Man, good stuff. I think
I'm taking the next mini game. Ah, dang it, man.
I feel like we got to get Rashaun to play the game that we played last week.
Was it 11 words or less?
Yes.
Yeah, that was fun. Well, hey, next week we're gonna double dip eventually, but I've got a lot of different mini games we're gonna pick and choose from, so it's gonna be fun.
Whatever it is, I'll win. Audience, you heard this.
I don't know. Track record doesn't seem to add up.
I mean, I would say it if I was 0-1 as well. It's okay.
No, this is my first one. I had to get my feet wet. I didn't really know what was happening. So yeah, next one I got.
I want to see if Rashaun can fill in the blanks for me. There were two that I missed last week. I don't even know how to describe it without doing this properly, but from BioShock, Rashaun. I guess not playing the game properly, but like things you could get out of a vending machine. What's the name of that?
So my goal, I basically had to give Josiah a word and he had to guess another word. So I was allowed to give him one word and I had to try to get him to the word I was looking for. So the word, I gave him BioShock and then power. I gave him two words because I didn't know how to get there. So BioShock power. Would you know what that is?
No, I haven't played BioShock since Infinite release. Amazing game, by the way. Beat that. So that was 2013 though. I'm going on like 11 years.
Got it.
So it was plasmids, which I did not remember at all. And then the other one I missed was a Star Wars question.
Oh, I could not believe it.
I thought about it all week, John, and I'm like, I still wouldn't have come up with it. The hub planet from Jedi Survivor.
Oh,
main planet, open world. I gave him a greasy money clue.
I can picture it all day long. I just could not come up with the name.
For sure. And I played it most recently out of all those too.
Wow,
no,
I can't believe that.
Got me with that. You would have got me.
That was
so that one was Kobo. So those are the two I missed. John got me to get 6 out of the 8, which pretty good. You want to get all 8, but it was fun.
Yeah.
So
we'll bring that one back for sure. That was fun. We'll see. We're gonna keep doing these mini games, see what works the best here, and they're fun. I have a good time with these.
Really excited. I can't wait to see the TikTok cut up for this one. This will be great.
Sure.
So, all right, folks, we're going to wrap up this episode of Busy Sticks, whether you watch live on Twitch or YouTube, or eventually listen to on podcast services around the globe. We appreciate you tuning in for it. You can subscribe at youtube.com/thegeekiverse or twitch.tv/thegeekiverse. Can't wait to talk about the state of play that we've got coming up in 2 days, and cannot wait to hear Rashaun go off on Suicide Squad. John, any wrapping thoughts here on this episode of Busy Sticks or anything to promote for the Geekiverse?
Oh man, yeah, this show's the big one. We're committed. We're back at Busy Sticks. We're having a good time. We're trying to do this weekly, maybe more than weekly. Who knows? If there's some some surprise press conferences, maybe we'll try to get an extra bonus episode in. We'll see. But yeah, this is where we want to be right now.
Love it. Rashaun, any games that we are platinum pursuing right now?
Ooh, no. 2023 was so busy that there were games that I'm like, oh, I'm coming back to it, but it's just there's not even enough time to. Once you beat a game, you got to keep it moving. So no, nothing at the moment. The closest would be Prince of Persia. Like I said, I 91% of it. But nothing active. I would guess my next platinum is Rebirth. Like that one, I'll make time for. I would say Persona 3, but I'm not sure in terms of like multiple playthroughs or whatnot. Rebirth, I feel confident that is my next platinum.
I think that makes sense. Well, ladies and gentlemen, to find that out, you'll have to stay tuned into Busy Sticks week in, week out. For John, for Rashaun, I'm Josiah. Thanks again for tuning in. Have a wonderful rest of your week.